For me as a psychologist, when I'm working with any of my clients, whether it's a neurodivergent child or an adolescent with behavior issues, the trained therapy animals become my co-therapists, my partners in providing therapy. Training is important for not just the therapist who is practicing, but also for the animal. Besides the therapist and the therapy animal, there are handlers and others who facilitate and look at the safety aspect of the interaction. When we train therapy dogs and when we certify therapy dogs, these are all family-based dogs. Since they are the ones providing the emotional support and therapy, we have to ensure their well-being as equally as the human that we cater to. We've had a lot of individuals who are initially scared but then get over it very quickly. So whether it is the touch that benefits or whether it is the play that benefits, it is all done in a structured way. Right. So it goes beyond comfort.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the India Autism Center podcast, your trusted space for real conversations, expert insights and practical guidance on autism, neurodevelopmental care and inclusive living. I'm your host Saudamini Sharma. Joining us today is Meenal Kavishwar, a clinical psychologist and one of India's foremost pioneers for animal-assisted therapy. With over 14 years of practice, she has introduced and shaped this field in India, impacting more than 10,000 individuals with autism, cerebral palsy, and mental health challenges. How are you, Meenal?
I'm good.
Thank you for making time to be here with us today.
Thank you.
For people hearing this term for the first time, what is animal-assisted therapy and how does it actually work in a real therapy session, especially for children with autism?
So people have been hearing this term now for a while. When I started out, there was a very minimum idea, or like people didn't really have an idea about what is animal therapy, what are therapy dogs, what are they doing for children with special needs, or even what are they doing in a clinical, setting.
Yeah.
So from there to now, people have at least heard of the term therapy dogs and the awareness is growing. But still a large part of the community doesn't know what exactly therapy dogs do. So primarily for me as a psychologist, when I'm working with any of my clients, whether it's a neurodivergent child or an adolescent with behavior issues, or in my counseling sessions, the trained therapy animals become my co-therapists, my partners in providing therapy.
Right.
And it is not just touching and petting. Of course, cuddling with a dog is going to give you immense benefit and regulation for yourself. But the therapy aspect goes beyond that. Okay. As a psychologist, I plan goals for every client. And based on those goals, activities are planned around the therapy animal, where the animal is also participative in the therapy, not just a prop.
Right.
So the engagement level of the animal with the child or with the client is important. And that is what sets this apart from just interaction to a structured therapy.
Right. Before we continue, here's a quick look at who we are at the India Autism Center.
Imagine a space designed not just to care for individuals with autism, but to empower them. A place where knowledge grows, support flourishes, and possibilities expand. This is India Autism Center. It is built to redefine how we approach autism. Through education, research, and community-driven initiatives, we create an environment where individuals with autism can thrive. Samavesh, our residential campus, is designed for individuals with autism to live, learn, and grow with dignity and independence. It is more than just a place to stay. It is a space to belong. Manan, our training academy, prepares professionals to provide specialized care. Through structured programs, we equip individuals with the skills to support neurodivergent communities with confidence and compassion. Khoj, our research division, is dedicated to advancing our understanding of autism. Through data-driven studies and collaborative research, we work towards shaping the future of neurodiversity.
So for For schools, hospitals, and therapy centers interested in starting assisted therapy, what does responsible implementation actually look like in terms of safety, training, and ethical practice for both the child and the animal?
So, first and foremost, this being a structured field, um, training is important for not just the therapist who is practicing, but also for the animal. And now, here, by the therapist, I mean that these are mental health professionals who are trained in animal therapy. So, you might be a psychologist or a special educator or a speech therapist, but just that qualification is the baseline that we look for. Beyond that, the training for animal assisted intervention is a add-on certification and training that the person needs to take. And alongside that, the therapy dog or the therapy cat or whichever animal we incorporate also needs to be trained and certified as a therapy animal. And together, then these two, like I said, co-therapists will be facilitating the program.
Got it.
And in most schools, since it is not one-on-one, it is, in larger groups, we have trained handlers as well, which ensure that the interaction between the animal and the child is safe. So besides the therapist and the therapy animal, there are handlers and others who facilitate and look at the safety aspect of the interaction. When we train therapy dogs and when we certify therapy dogs, these are all family-based dogs, and since they are the ones providing the emotional support and therapy, we have to ensure their well-being as equally as the human that we cater to.
Yeah.
So firstly, the dogs belong to family, so they are working professionals. They work with us, and then they go back to family. They have their own space to decompress. And besides that, there are standard welfare norms that we follow, protocols that we follow to ensure that the animal is actually enjoying and wanting to participate, and none of the interaction or activity is forced on the animal. So the willingness of the animal becomes like the baseline of our welfare. And there are many ways in which the dogs let us know that they're enjoying and they're literally looking forward for the visit.
Right. When people hear dogs and autism, they often imagine comfort or companionship. In practice, how do therapy dogs actively support regulation, communication, or motor skills during animal-assisted therapy for autism? Could you share an example?
So comfort, hugging, petting, that is always going to give that feel-good factor. Even with individuals that are extremely scared, that initial fear very soon takes over by, wanting to have that touch of the fur or wanting to play with the animal. So we've had a lot of individuals who are initially scared but then get over it very quickly. So whether it is the touch that benefits or whether it is the play that benefits, it is all done in a structured way. So it goes beyond comfort. And to give you examples, eye contact is the first thing that we notice that changes an individual especially neurodivergent individuals, because eye contact with humans sometimes take a long time to establish. But we see that with the same children, the way they follow the dog's movement with their eye, the way they engage with just looking at the dog and the activities, that gives us a direction in which we can work on the eye contact further, directing it to the humans. Similarly, whether it is the sensory regulation or motor control, activities that may seem simple to a pet parent, like maybe grooming the dog, but for a child who is neurodivergent or for an individual who has sensory issues, even holding the brush is a challenge.
For sure.
And then whether it is the movement, whether it is counting, it can be associated with so many goals. It can be motor, it can be sensory, it can be cognitive. So the animal becomes like a package of different things that we can do with by setting certain goals.
Right. If you could change one common belief people hold about animal-assisted therapy for autism or disability, what would it be? And what do you wish families understood instead?
Okay, so I'd like to address two things here. Firstly, a lot of people get confused between service dogs and therapy dogs. And these are two very different roles for dogs, although they are both working dog categories. But service dogs are dogs who are trained to assist one person at a time
Right.
with disability, or even if it is service dog for autism.
Yeah.
And these dogs are trained for specific tasks to help the person navigate through their life, right? Whereas therapy dogs are essentially pets, and they are trained to provide that emotional support and companionship with a lot of people.
Got it.
And they are not really trained for task specific, but for different activities. So a lot of people do get confused that service dogs and therapy dogs.
Yeah.
But dogs that work with psychologists and mental health professionals are essentially therapy dogs.
dogs.
And the second one is, yes, a lot of people, a lot of children on the spectrum also benefit from just the interaction with the dog. But because of that, family should not jump into just getting a dog home. There is a process that they will, there's a process that needs to be followed to understand whether it is going to be a good fit and whether the family is ready to care for the animal as well.
Yeah.
So instead of overloading the family and the individual with a lot of new things, visiting therapy dogs is a good option. So we are now in 7 cities across India. So for those who just want to experience this, they can avail the visiting therapy dog facility. And if that suits, and if they're really up for the commitment of having a pet at home, only then they should go for having a pet.
For sure, yeah. As you look back on your journey pioneering animal assisted therapy in India, what kept you going through resistance and uncertainty? And what message of hope would you like to leave parents who are still searching for the right support for their child?
So, a lot of times, the thing that would hinder the progress of any program was the initial no dogs allowed in the facility approach.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of humans being skeptical about getting dogs in facility, a lot of parents being skeptical about letting their children interact with therapy dogs. So the concept of just dogs and therapy dogs, is still to kind of root into our, society. But what keeps us going is when we see the reactions in children, when we see the progress that happens in children, and that too rapid progress in a very limited amount of time, because the animal is constantly there providing that unconditional support and guided by structured therapy as well. So when we see a child who is not giving eye contact with other humans, looking at the dog, wanting to engage with the dog, then that is like a boost for us. Or for a lot of individuals where the name of the dog is the first time they have tried to communicate, calling out the name of the dog, that becomes our motivation.
Right.
And the joy that we get to see among the parents when they see their child responding.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Meenal, for sharing your deep insights with us today. For our listeners, if today's conversation gave you a new perspective on autism and on animal assisted therapy, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the India Autism Center podcast.